Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vansharshibhyo Mahatbhyo Namo Gurubhyah. Sarvopaplavarahitah Pragnanaganah Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Gnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodha Vidhiyate. As we saw last time, what is Atma? The meaning of the word Atma is I. What is my nature? Generally people think that I know myself. I need not be told who am I. But Shastra has a different vision that we have been seeing for quite some time. We have been discussing what I am not and why I am not that. Now in this section, the Shastra reveals the Swarupa of the self. What is my nature? Who am I? What is my real nature? Who am I without that confusion? Look at this. One thing is sure that we can know about ourselves, that I am a knower. During the entire waking state, I know the things. In the dream state, also I know the things. And sleep also I know. Because upon waking up we say, Sukhena maya asvapsam. I had a sound sleep. Nakinchid avedisham. I did not know anything, what all happened at night. So, I am a knower of all the three states. In other words, I know the entire world in front of me, either created by me like dream. The knowledge per se keeps on changing. In every objective knowledge, there is a subject I, the knower, and there is an object, the known, and there are the means of knowledge, eyes, ears, nose, etc. That means this knowledge, objective knowledge, keeps on varying. Because the object of knowledge keeps on changing. At the moment I know the pencil, next moment I know the mobile. So there was a pencil knowledge, then mobile knowledge, then sound of some bird, there is a knowledge of the sound, etc. Knowledge keeps changing because the object of knowledge is variable. The object keeps varying, therefore the knowledge keeps varying, but the consciousness is in and through all of them. Look at this. And I say, I know. In that knowledge, there is one more thing involved. I know what I know as well. I know what I do not know as well. So, first of all, there is a knowledge that takes place, and there is I who is a knower of that particular knowledge, who is conscious of that particular knowledge. And when the knowledge doesn't take place, there is a conscious knower, there is a conscious being who knows that knowledge hasn't taken place. I know that I am ignorant. Like in a classroom atmosphere, when the teacher is teaching something, especially a mathematics class, or somebody is explaining you something about related to IT, and that person is thorough, or is a very well knowledgeable person, almost an authority, and he explains to you in the best possible way, but I know that knowledge has not taken place. I am ignorant about the thing. I am a knowledgeable person with reference to what I know, and I am ignorant with reference to those things which I don't know. Even when I say I am ignorant, knowledge is involved. And even when I say I am knowledgeable, knowledge is involved. The consciousness, the knowledge principle is there. To say that I am knowledgeable and to say that I am a knower. I am a knower only with reference to what I know, and that knower with reference to known or the knowledge becomes knowledgeable, and I am knower of my ignorance, and that knower of ignorance is referred to ignorant person with reference to what the thing he or she doesn't know. So, knowledgeable is also from a standpoint of view, and I am ignorant is also from a standpoint of view. This is only a standpoint of view. Then the question comes, what is the view? The view is, I am the consciousness. I am the knowledge principle. Like the presence of the light in every sight that you see, every object that is perceived in a daylight, the seen object varies, but the presence of the light in everything that is seen doesn't vary. The light doesn't vary. So also the knowledge of an object or ignorance about an object keeps on varying, but the consciousness is invariable, and that consciousness is me, the self, and that consciousness is invariable, and at the same time it is self-evident. I am conscious, aham asmi, aham bhami is a self-revealing, self-evident fact. So, the fact that when I say I am knower, the status of being knower is with reference to what I know. It is a standpoint, and the truth of the knower is the knowledge principle, the consciousness. Now, let us look at another aspect or another swarupa of the consciousness. It was said, the sthula sukshma karana sharirat vyatiriktaha panchakoshatitaha avasthatraya sakshi satchidananda swarupasan yastishtati sa atma. What is sat swarupaha? Let us look at this. Anything that exists in time has always a beginning and an end. There may be some object whose beginnings are untraceable. You may not know it. Humanity doesn't know. We may just postulate it based on some theory that Big Bang took place on so many years ago. Or we may say there are so many galaxies which were created by so many millions of light years ago, etc. But the fact that it exists in time, that means it exists in space, has an end. the object which is in time has an end. Also, let us just think about what is past and what is future and what is present. We say the time is nothing but past, present and future. You just let us think of something called past. Anything past, maybe Anadi Kala, like Ramayana Kala, or even before that. Or you may say last millennia, when Lord Shiva, you may think of about Sri Bhagavad Pad Shankaracharya, or you may think of anything. But that very concept of the past, the thought of the past is now. It is there in your mind, it is now, it is present. So also you may think of the future, however far you may think, millennium, 1 million years hereafter, but the thought of the future is also now. So when we are discussing about time, in fact, what is time, we need to understand the present, or what is time, we need to understand what is now. What exactly does this now, or what exactly our concept of time imply? Let us see that from this point of view. What is the length of the time? When I think of the length of a time, present, it can be anything. I can say the length of the time is 100 years, present century, that is now. You can say present decade, that is now. You may as well say present year, that is now. You may as well say the present month, that is now. You may as well say this present fortnight, that is now. You can say the day is now. You can say the hour is now. The length of time. What is present? How long can you reduce it to? It can be an hour, or it can be a second, or it can be, they say, 1 second has 1 million microseconds. We can go on mathematically. Scientists have those names and numbers of dividing even the second. That microsecond or millimicrosecond or whatever they may be calling is present. And as I said, it is unending mathematically. In any length of time, there is consciousness. Consciousness of that particular length of time. When you think of time, there is time consciousness. When you think of present, there is present consciousness. As you look into the length of time, the length itself disappears. It gets erased as though. So what is left is nothing but the consciousness. So what is time is nothing but the consciousness. Consciousness is something which doesn't come and doesn't go. Na udeti, na astameti chitihi. The consciousness doesn't rise and doesn't come to an end. It is chit, that is self-evident consciousness, is Sat Swarupaha. The self-evident consciousness is immortal. That is the Swarupa. So, when I think of time, it is time consciousness, and time consciousness is now consciousness, and the length of now ultimately erases out, and what is left out is only nothing but consciousness. That is self-evident, self-existing, that is Satchit, that consciousness is myself, and therefore that I am self-revealing, with self-evident self, and therefore Satchit, I am Satchit beyond time. Just understand. What is beyond time? Beyond time means it is there even when the time is, or it is there even when the time erases out, even when the time disappears. I am self-revealing, self-evident is the truth, and to consider myself as I am mortal, subject to birth and death, that is a confusion. The confusion based on the error, the confusion based on adhyaropa, anyonya adhyasaha, and that confusion causes the fear of death, that confusion causes the fear of old age, that confusion causes a sense that I am mortal. Body is mortal, yes, but the I is not the body as we saw. I am the consciousness, which is self-evident, which is self-existent, which is quote-unquote beyond time. Beyond time means the very concept of the time rises or is born in consciousness, and the very concept of the time dissolves or disappears in consciousness, exactly like in my dream world, the space and the time are born in me, they exist in me, they are born out of me as though, they exist in me as though, and they dissolve into me. That I consciousness is beyond dream time and dream space because it is the very basis, it is the very substratum upon which they are superimposed. So also the waking time and space are nothing but superimposed on I, the consciousness. The time disappears, and that what is there is self-revealing consciousness, that is I. Now the last word describing the Swarupa of the Atma is Satchit Ananda Swarupaha. Just as the conclusion that I am mortal is born out of confusion, born out of error, which gives rise to fear of death and old age, that confusion is born out of anyonya adhyasaha. So also there is one more confusion, that I am dukhi, I am sad, and this sadness seems to be there always. Just now we saw that I am Satchit Swarupaha. I am eternal, self-evident, self-revealing, self-existent consciousness. And if I am that Sat Swarupa, and if that I am that sad, that means I am eternally sad. And it appears to be the same also. And people like, sometimes I have seen that they would keep some shock, They have some pain, some event took place in the family, very painful thing, but they just can't forget it. They just can't live it. They keep reveling as though brooding about that event, and they feel, I am born destined to be sad. And if I am Satchit Swarupa, and if I find myself to be sad, I am going to be sad. And more so, when you study Vedanta, if you are just so-called faithful, this I am sad conclusion has some hope that hereafter I will go to heaven and there will be eternal dinner and dance and music, and there I will be happy for good. But our studying Shastras or studying Vedanta, why even Vedanta? Studying Hindu Shastras, it reveals very clearly that heaven itself is ephemeral. So, there also I may become happy for some time, but ultimately I am going to become unhappy. Now look at this. Let us analyze this conclusion, or rather this confusion that I am sad, this confusion that I am unhappy. As of now, happiness, I becoming happy is an event. Sometime, in a given some situation, at some place, in some relationships, or some at particular time, I find myself to be happy. And that happiness is, there is some possibility also I have in mind, and I work for that possibilities. Possibilities are actualized, and sometimes possibilities are discovered to be not the source of happiness. But then, after that event, which often is short-lived, often is for very limited time, soon after that event, sadness seems to take over me. I again discover myself to be unhappy. Happiness comes, and within a short time, it as though dissipates, it as though disappears, it as though vanishes right in front of me. However hard I try to hold it, however hard I wish to have it with me, but somehow it just disappears, that happiness, and I am not able to hold that happiness. And at the end of it, that what it is a sad individual, dukhi individual. Thus, I feel I am basically dukhi, happiness being momentarily, that I am happy is an attribute. Swarupataha, by nature, I am unhappy, and I feel that I need to depend upon something other than me, maybe an object, maybe a person, maybe a situation, maybe a place, maybe a time, anything, to discover that happiness. Somehow, though sadness or dukhi appears to be my swarupa, I seem to be looking for, I seem to be craving for that happiness. Though it's an attribute, but I want that attribute to be with me permanently. I am not at home with what I am saying. And now, if you look at the human life, or for that matter, life of any living creature, true, there is a basic pursuit for survival, but all our efforts, all our endeavors seems that they are targeted to achieve a possible situation, a potential situation for happiness. And that possibility, that potentiality is often subjective. And another thing about that potentiality is, I think it's a profound source of happiness, and I feel so also. But there are two things that happen. When I get that, I discover it is not that profound, or it is not at all profound as I thought to be, or I discover that yes, it is a profound source of happiness. But then, that quantum of happiness, the quantum of satisfaction, the quantum of fullness that I derive through that particular object or situation or whatever, somehow keeps on decreasing as the time it is of not same degree as the time passes. As they say in economics, diminutive utility, law of diminishing utility. An object gives as though a huge, very strong kick of happiness, but as the time passes, it no more gives me that profound kick, and later on doesn't give me any kind of kick at all. In other words, it doesn't give me the same amount of ananda which it gave me at the first experience, first time when I had it. And then since it doesn't give me same degree of joy, we always look forward to some new possibilities. We always then work again to explore the new possibilities, and that's how the life goes on. Those possibilities, when actualized, as I said, are momentary, it just disappears. But one thing remains common is I am sad, I am unhappy. Now let us analyze this conclusion, that what is it that I take myself to be sad? And to understand that, to let us analyze what is those moments of happiness. When I feel happy, what happens? you know. So as of now I find the sad person gathers some happiness. Sad person becomes happy for some time, and it seems to me there is never lasting or pure happiness. At the moment of happiness, we see the person, the I, the individual seem to care for nothing. Just think of an absorbing moment of happiness. In that moment of happiness, there is nothing that comes to your mind. You don't care for anything. The past, the burden for the past doesn't come to your mind. As well as the anxieties of future are also not there in your mind. They just disappear momentarily. They just are not there momentarily, and you are happy. Not only you don't remember the past, not only you don't think of the future, but in that absorbing moment of happiness, know that object itself is gone. The very object disappears, and you as though become of one flame or one joy, one embodiment of joy. You are happiness at that moment. Somehow something happens to you, whatever happens, we'll see that. There is even the object of experience is not there. The very experiencer is not there. There is only happiness. Just think of just simple source of joy. You're taking one spoon of ice cream, which you like the most. And when you put it in mouth and you just enjoy the state and you become happy, the taste, and when you become happy, you are nothing but the flame of happiness. But then, soon after that, I become unhappy. Let us look at it. Where does this unhappiness belong to? Or, if it is my Swarupa, how come I find myself to be happy as well? So when I am happy, the unhappiness is somehow totally disappears. That momentarily, that sad, that dukhi self is just not there. As I said, I am nothing but a flame of consciousness. Just like the conclusion that I am mortal is because of the wrong thinking, error, taking something what I am not as myself. So also that I am unhappy, that I am dukhi, that conclusion is also wrong thinking. That conclusion is also born out of error. And in that moment of happiness, somehow that wrong thinking is not there. That self-conclusion momentarily disappears. Why then? That apohanam, when you forget the things, that also makes you happy. In sleep, there is nothing that is remembered. Any absorbing moment, just looking at a mountain, seeing the sunrise, that's conclusion about the self that I am dukhi, temporarily is suspended. And in such moments, you feel happy. In fact, you can say this is the blessings of the Lord, that we have a capacity to suspend that conclusion. However dukhi the person may be, as I said in the beginning, a few minutes ago, he or she may be brooding about the dukkha, why me, and all the time sadding. You can say sadistic person, but you just tell that person a joke, just a small slapstick joke, and the person bursts into laughter. At that moment, when he or she just laughs, that moment he or she becomes the flame of happiness. At that moment, the conclusion, I am dukhi, thinking why me, that is that is just suspended. I have, each of us have an experience of being happy. But that, without knowing anything, there is no knowledge of Atma, that is Ananda Swarupaha. There is no knowledge of the Ishvara. Nothing is there, but experiential happiness is there in the life, and that keeps the person going. Otherwise, as Pujya Swamiji used to say, like that Shruti behind the musician, that one Shruti going on, that I am dukhi, that I am unhappy, goes on, and that Shruti is there. In spite of that, in the moment of happiness, that stands suspended. Why I am unhappy? Let us look at this conclusion. Why I am dukhi? Let us see the conclusion. I find myself dukhi because I am a wanting person. I am incomplete person. I am dissatisfied with myself. I lack many things. That is a conclusion. The self-knowledge, in my self-awareness, there is in my self-knowledge, there is a conclusion that I am lacking so many things. That self-aware, full self thinks that I am not having so many things. I need to have so many things. And now, to get that fullness, to get that self-contentment, self-acceptance, I desire few objects. I look upon the world as a potential source of happiness. I look upon the world as a source that will make me complete, that will make me satisfied, that will make me that will make me happy, that will give me a sense of contentment, a sense of self-acceptance, and therefore I pursue the object. Whereas Atma is Ananda. And as we have said earlier, Ananda is Anantaha. Anantaha doesn't mean limitlessness. In a way, yes, it is limitlessness. But when I say limitless, then we tend to imagine, oh, limitless means so big like etc. No, it is not spatially Ananta. Anantaha can be interpreted, or better word would be, can be understood as whole. Again, please don't imagine some kind of wholeness. What is the wholeness? Wholeness is the division of the subject-object is not there. The division of experiencer and the experienced is not there. What is wholeness? The division of the wanting person and the thing wanted as though is not there for that moment. The division of desirer and the desired, they although fuse into, they although become into one. There is no sense of separation from anything. As I said, in absorbing moment of happiness, there is nothing. You don't seem to care for anything. There is no concern for future, no stress or burden of the past. Everything just seems to disappear. There is no sense of I also. Everything seems to disappear. There is only one whole, and that is Ananda. When I am dukhi, there is a sense of separation. When I am dukhi, there are infinite number of things there is a concern for them. Just look at our experience. When I see some stars, when I just see some meadow, cows grazing in a green field, when I am in just a forest and the birds are chirping, or I see sunrise and sunset, and I see the ocean, waves coming and going, and I am just sitting there, all these moments are very relaxing. All these moments are the happy moment. In most of the cases, I find myself to be happy. When I find myself to be happy, at that moment, while watching the stars, seeing the moon on a full moon day or something, and I find happy, or watching the ocean, waves coming and going, I am happy. During those moments, the separation is gone. The sense of separation is not there. Any situation that doesn't bring out, that doesn't invoke from me a wanting person, a person wanting something else, or a person wanting a change in the things, that makes me happy. When I see ocean, I am a non-wanting person. When I see the moon, I am a non-demanding person. I don't want anything else. I just enjoy that moment. Not I am happy. I say I enjoy it, but I become a flame of happiness. The sunrise, I am just happy. So, desirable situation also creates the same thing. There is wholeness. The wanting I, the dissatisfied I is no more there, and you become happy. So, those natural situations where the wanting somehow disappears, like sunset and sunrise and ocean, etc., or the artificial situations, subjective situation, when I get the desired object, and that in those moments the desiring or the wanting I disappears, I become the whole flame of happiness. Those moments I experience Ananda. Those moments I experience limitlessness. No complaint. I don't want any change whatsoever. I don't want anything more or less. In those moments I experience the wholeness. Each one of us has an experience of wholeness, and that wholeness is me. Because in those moments there is nothing else but me, and therefore to think myself sad is an error, is something which is out of improper thinking. The wholeness or the fullness or the Ananda is not something to be experienced is not to be achieved on fulfilling the desire. No. They say, when the new desire doesn't arise and fulfilled desire stays, you are happy. No. One can be happy without fulfilling desire, and one can be unhappy in spite of fulfilling. We know this. Quite often we find there are nth number of desires, nth number of wants that are there within your mind, and one thinks, if I fulfill all of them, I will be happy. One considers oneself to be that picture, if I achieve all this and get rid of this, I will be a perfect person. That is true. That is our thinking. But in spite of that thinking, in between there are moments of happiness. In spite of not fulfilling so many desires, I find myself happy. And when I work hard and achieve something, having gained that desired end also, I find myself to be unhappy. So I can be happy without fulfilling, and I can be unhappy in spite of fulfilling. It is just not sure when I can be happy. When one can be happy, that fulfillment which is brought about by achieving something or get rid of something, in other words, a Vishaya Sukham is a thought. And that being a thought, that being a state of the mind being what it is always changing, thought being what it is always temporary, that happiness doesn't stay long. It is impermanent, it perishes, and again I find myself to be unhappy. And equally it is not true to to find total happiness, I should fulfill all the desires. Fulfilled desires divided by unfulfilled desires equal to that whatever the integer or whatever you get it is your quantum of happiness. That is not true. No, I can't find myself from a wanting. It is bound to be there, body-mind complex being limited, and all our wants cannot be fulfilled also. Because you may get the whole master, you may possess all the objects, you may be the Chakravarti, Samrat of the world, but you can't be at all places and you can't enjoy all the objects at the same time. If I want to enjoy something, Himalayas, I have to be there. Even though I may be owner, I may be the king of India, I need to go to Himalayas or I need to go to Switzerland. I cannot have both the things at the same time. There is a spatial limitations, there is time-wise limitations, and at the same time, the worst thing is, in my wanting list, in my list of the changes that I expect in the world outside to make me complete, includes these demands that the people with whom I am related to, the people with whom I am connected to, they need to change. I want them to change, and that is just impossible. Even Bhagavan could not change Duryodhana. What to talk about ourselves? Ravana could not be changed by anybody. So, that demand to change others and thereby be happy, it can never ever be fulfilled. And that thinking that if I fulfill all my desires, then I will be happy, is a pipe dream. The fact that I can laugh it out, the fact that I can relax, fact that I can be happy momentarily reveals that I need not fulfill the wants in order to be happy. The whole life seems to be the process of becoming. When I am in the process of becoming, I am bound to be unhappy. And when I give up that process of becoming, when I as though walk on the path of process of being, what am I, then I am going to be happy. In fact, I momentarily give up the process of becoming when I am happy. There is a big list of becoming. I want to become owner of the house. I want to become owner of a big car. I want to become owner of this much amount of money or position, etc. But in spite of that, momentarily I find happy. And those moments, the process of becoming is suspended. This process of becoming is absent in the sleep. In fact, the very notion of individuality is not there. Everything gets suspended in sleep. And just as in the sleep everything is suspended, so also everything is suspended in the moments of happiness, and the subject-object division, the unhappy I and the source of happiness, separation between two, as though dissolves. When I am happy, I become one whole. One whole thing is there, and therefore I am whole. Anandaha. Okay? See, there is a problem. You see, with individual. Ananda is there, anantatvam. Wholeness is ananda. Atma is called as ananda from two standpoint of view. You can say two reasons. Why it is called as two reasons? In the experience of happiness, what obtains is wholeness, that is you. In the moment of wholeness, that wholeness, when the division is suspended, that is the lakshana for ananda, and therefore it is called Satyam Gnanam Anantam Brahma and Satchid Anandam. And at the same, wholeness is Ananta, is a Lakshana for Ananda. And secondly, naturally, just as Jijivisha, desire to live is natural, so also desire for Sukha, desire for Ananda is natural. It is something that everybody wants to have it. Everyone wants to become happy. And it is not that I want happiness, rather I want to be happy. So Atma is called Ananda. We will see few things about this Ananda Swarupa of the Atma further in the next lecture, and then we'll proceed. Though this Satchidananda, the terms, the Swarupa has not been discussed in detail. You may find it difficult or may not understand it. It's okay, try to listen it again, and whatever you can understand, please understand. As I said, this is only an introductory text. When we will study Upanishad, we will deal with these words in details, but I have just given you an outline, the picture of what is Satchit Ananda Swarupa, that is you. And we will see further, in a little further in the next class, and then proceed about what I am not, and then what is Ishvara, etc. Continue with the text. Namaste. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.